mistakes. It's fine. Welcome to the Soul Mech podcast.
Hey everyone.
We're just doing our post or pre-preparation antics here. My name is DJ Mana. Okay, we're the Soul Mech podcast. What's our mission? Is we're here to just provide something of value to you. Okay, I think value is usually in the form of utility, but can be in the form of just a smile on your faces. That's useful. Okay, we're just providing some utility. Mainly, who's our audience for? It's for people who are mainly proactive and trying to just better their lives, being self-aware, actualizing their potential. So that's I'm no expert at that. I am nowhere near perfecting my full potential yet, but I'm getting there, and I hope you're getting there too, right? Yes. So my name is DJ Mana. Most of you have known me as a musician back in the day, Skratch DJ. I'm now, retired from that scene. I still do it for fun, as you can see in the intro. I work as a mechanical engineer in the construction industry here. Part-time, I am a parent. I'm a jiu-jitsu instructor and a all-around philanthropist. And here's my co-host, Trish-A.
Hi, I'm Trish-A, for those of you who don't know me. I am a high school teacher, aspiring digital storyteller. I'm also a mom. I just got into Muay Thai, so I can't wait to start training again because I injured myself not too long ago. So I'm currently trying to get that ankle better. Yeah. But anyways, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks. Thank you all. Thank you, Trish-A. So what are we talking about today?
Well, you mentioned about our mission, right? And so we want to add value to your lives by providing different perspectives and information that you can use in your daily lives. And so today we'll be discussing like hacks, habits, and self-actualization.
Yes, that's our main focus. I used to take psychology in high school. That's a while ago. College, actually, I read up on this guy named Maslow.
Maslow.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that you studied that because I was trying to read up a little bit on it before. So the theory is, you want to explain the theory?
Yeah. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So that's a big thing in education because what the theory talks about is that it says that the lowest basic physiological needs must be met before higher needs can be fulfilled. And so if you look, and we'll leave some resources on our description so you can see, but it's basically like a pyramid, and the biggest, or not the biggest, but the highest level is self-actualization. But before any of those other higher level needs to be fulfilled, we have our basic food, clothing, shelter, sex even is part of that lowest basic need. And so before we can fulfill anything higher than that, we need to fill those needs first. And so in education, if a student is hungry or they're homeless or they're lacking sleep, it can cause, certain behaviors, and they're not going to be able to focus on learning. And so it's the same for us adults, right? In order for us to reach our highest potential, we have to really concentrate on the lowest basic levels of needs. So if we're not hydrated, if we're not eating right, we're not exercising to stay healthy, we won't be able to reach our highest potential because those needs are not being met first.
Yeah. What's interesting is that it seems that we do have some intrinsic sort of striving to be better and to be more resilient instead of being just hedonistic, right? Because I mean, you could think, if we were all nihilistic, just to think that animals are just there to eat the sandwich, like all the resources are there, we're just there to consume as much, avoid pain, and seek pleasure, right? That's the hedonistic philosophy. And you see people not everyone is like that. To me, I think that's a little hopeful because you have a bunch of just savages eating each other and then just everything just destroying itself, right? Everyone would just do cocaine and just like the time and just, that's all they would do. It's just kill themselves by just indulging in pleasure. But we do seem to have, we behave like we have other needs other than our base needs, which is what you just mentioned. The need is to I don't know which it's a delayed gratification. One thing to delay gratification to seek to do something difficult to achieve something that is not necessarily, it's more abstracted, but at the end it'll make you better in the sense that you'll be more resilient at reacting to things that when they don't go your way, but you don't get the pleasure quickly, you'll be able to persevere a little bit more, so
the growth mindset, what we talked about in our first episode. I mean, we always come back to it because it is something that, will help us.
Just the fundamental part of just the idea that we're not just a bunch of hedonistic animals, that we're also trying to seek something that is beyond pleasure itself. The highest pinnacle of self-discovery is not just to attain the highest amount of pleasure, it's to attain what Maslow calls self-actualization. And it's not just his theory, it's something that I see kind of growing in, not growing, but it's a cultural trope in many generations. People do try to seek, excellence, and that's a good thing. It's hopeful that people out there that are trying to do that and to encourage others, and especially in today's age where things are kind of just given to you, right?
Yes.
With technology, things are given to you. It's a little easier to just go into these loops of just pleasure. Jesus Christ, I've heard of stuff where kids are, what do they call it? Like that sitting all day for like binge watching, like a thing. Yeah. It's a thing. They have a name for it. I forgot what it is, but it is the worst thing ever. They sit there they tout the amount of time that they sit there idling, watching, and doom scrolling. And then they would be literally numb on one side because that's the side they've been lying down on and pooled blood. And that's incredible. And I'm disappointed. I'm not surprised, but I'm not impressed. Let's just put it that way. Right? So in any case, that's, I don't know. So it is important that there are some people out there that are still trying to use these technologies, not to just fry your own brain and just wither away in hedonism. We're trying to use that to leverage, the proliferation of the idea of self-actualization. Some people do that without even knowing what Maslow is, and it's like that's a good thing, Don't you think?
I completely agree that I don't think, I think that people have this inner urge to be better, but it all depends on whether they want to take action on it, because you can't, I think we were talking before, you can't help if someone doesn't want a help, right? So the people are not going to change if they don't want change.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't realize they need change either. Yeah.
Cool. So, without further ado, we do have a guest today. We're really excited. You want to introduce him a little bit?
Yeah. So, today's guest is DJ White. He is the CEO and founder of Ravnfit, and he's going to share his perspectives on, self-actualization, fitness, nutrition, and any other things that we want to discuss. And I'm so excited to have him here with us.
Cool. So before we get him on, we're just going to show you a little clip of what he does, and some of you of his followers will probably know some of this stuff already, but we're really excited to see this. So check it out.
Without being a man is very simple. You need to throw away childish things, and you need to become something far greater than what you were when you were a kid. If you would imagine, every ancient civilization had a rite of passage for a man. If you were a boy, you were raised by your mother and by the women in the village or the tribe. And then around puberty, the men would then take you away and put you out there in the wilderness to learn something. You come back and tell us who you are after you defeat some sort of trial or go through some sort of difficulty. You have to become something. So if you want to be a man and you're still living with your parents, you're not a man. You can only be a man when you go out there and you do something difficult. You achieve something that pulls you away and makes it impossible for you to return to the person you were before. So if you're still worried about taking risks and you don't want to do anything that might cause you pain, then you're not going to be a man. Go to the gym, start working on your physique, become as strong and physically fit and capable as possible. Get in the ring, get into a boxing ring or learn jiu-jitsu or martial arts. Learn how to throw a punch and learn how to take a punch. Get hit, get into fights, get your finances in order, become someone who's respectable in society. Those facets are what turn you into a man. If you don't have anything working for yourself, then you're still effectively a boy. So if you want to be a man, work on self-improvement, and to improve yourself, you have to do difficult things. Those difficult things will then garner respect. That respect is what is known as becoming a man.
We are back with our guest, DJ White, also known as Ravnfit. How's it going?
It's going great.
Good to have you here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Good to have you. Yeah, man. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do with your company. Is it called Ravnfit? Is that how you call it?
The company's called Ravnfit.
Yeah.
So what it is, it's a fitness company. Mm-hmm. It starts off, I gear it toward training both men and women. Mm-hmm. Anybody who's willing to learn, who wants to improve their fitness in any sort of way, I welcome everybody. Mm-hmm. But of course, running my IG channel for the past year, it's about 91% men. Yeah. So a lot of my messaging comes across better to men than to women. Because I also think that the idea for men having to self-improve is a lot stronger in terms of the amount of steps and the amount of BS that men have to go through to get to that point. Yeah. A lot of times we need guidance. Yes. And it's not always intuitive, right? So for that reason, I found that my message has a lot more carry, a lot more reach, speaking to men. So I really focus on men as my demographic base.
So did you start that, did you tailor it after you looked at your analytics? Is that how you
know what I mean? I think it's easier for me to come from the perspective of here's what I've done to get myself in shape, to make myself more accountable. And I think that message speaks more to men than women overall, right? It's not so much that I geared it only toward men, but a lot of I think the traits that I preach or the concepts or the types of topics that I talk about the most, I think they just resonate with men more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you discovered that during the IG stuff, right? That was your main.
Yeah, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Then before that, so you geared it towards men and women, right? Correct. Mm-hmm. Cool. Was it online as well?
I've been a trainer for a long time.
Okay.
Right. I've been training for going on 18 years now. Okay. And I would say before I started my online presence, even people that I train virtually, which I still train, I've had clients I've had for over 10 years now. I still train them, and it's always been just about a 50-50 split between the two.
Right.
But I realized that online, when I discuss my different types of things, I think maybe I come across as more of an authoritative figure for men than women. And so I didn't start off my page thinking, hey, I'm only going to speak to men. But over time, men are like, hey, I have more questions. What do I do for this? What do I do for this? I would start getting questions like, what do I do if this girl dumps me? Or
damn.
So for that reason, girls aren't asking me those questions.
Right.
Of course.
If anything, women might be asking me questions like, hey,
how do I get a guy like you?
Yeah. So they'll say things like, is it important for a man to be fit? Should a man work on their finances? Why aren't men doing this? If men don't do this, should I leave him? Maybe the message is more for guys.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're maybe just probing the questions that are still geared towards the guys to do it. It's like, hey guys, let's validate this question of mine by getting the guy that is super, to my next point that I was gonna say is like the guys would seek the advice of someone who has done it. Obviously they'd see how fit you are. There's something about credibility to be said about that. You can't give advice if you can't be the representative of that.
And you have to be, right?
Yeah.
We have to, for the longest time, my IG bio would say that very famous, I think it's Epictetus, right? He would say
Epictetus?
that... Epictetus, excuse me. Yeah. Epictetus. He would say, don't simply explain your philosophy. You need to embody it.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing, right? And I think that congruency, we were talking about before, is one of the things that's missing the most in society nowadays. Is people just preaching these things, but they don't have what they're trying to tell you they should do. And you will see this in the training world. Mm-hmm. As a personal trainer, I can't tell you how many times people would come to me and say, hey, can I train with you instead? Why? Because the trainer they had before, overweight, maybe they're not punctual, their habits are bad, they smell bad, right? And so it's natural for human beings to say, look, if I go to a dentist and their teeth are all jacked up, I don't want you fixing my teeth. Because if you think about it, if you're going to charge me X amount of dollars for your services and your advice, if your advice is so good, why aren't you using it?
Right.
It's insane. And I think human beings, we notice that instantly. I mean, evolution has hardwired us to notice incongruencies. And I think nowadays in society, it's very popular to say, you know what? Don't judge a book by its cover. It's BS. You should definitely judge a book by its cover, because the presentation you give to the world says a lot about you. So if you want to be slovenly kept, if you want to, not take care of your teeth, or you want to be someone who is broke and then try to tell everyone else how they should be living their lives, no one should listen to you. So yeah, we're all going to judge you by a cover. That's just how the world works.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. So, I mean, as far as like self-actualization, like trying to reach your potential, there's this narrative out there that people might, everyone's looking for something different, to each his own. Like, what do you think about that? Are there some things that are universal for everybody out there? Like things that if you're going to be out there trying to reach your potential, everyone should do these things. Like there's certain tenets that everybody has to do. Male, female, any walks of life. Those the certain things that everyone has to take care of, and that can stretch a long way for anyone's self-actualization.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
What do you think those are, if there are,
I don't think of it as what attributes does a person necessarily need to have to be successful.
Right. No, yeah.
As much as
what you need to do.
The people who are successful, what attributes do they not have? Right? So if you think from that angle, people who are successful in life, they probably do not smell bad. So hygiene's a big deal. They probably present themselves in the best possible way. You should do the same thing, right? There's small things that we can look at to say, like, say, for example, you can't have an argument both ways. I can tell you doing X, Y, Z will lead you to success. I can't say that for sure, but the people who are successful have done X, Y, Z, right? Like there's no
correlation. Yes, it's a correlation. Yes,
because the correlation is kind of off. The best way I look at it is everyone at the top doesn't do these things.
Yeah, right.
So just stop doing those things, right? So people say
at least that,
from guys who are like, hey, should I do no fap? Or last week a guy was saying, hey, this is November, should I do like a no nut November, right? And these are common questions I get. And the idea is, okay, well, that's not really the problem. What matters is, are you getting the other stuff done throughout the day? So if you can't take care of all the stuff you have throughout the day that are your goals, and to be waking up on time, doing your work as best as possible, sending those emails you need to send, or completing that project you have at work, if you haven't done those things, no, then you shouldn't do it. All that stuff should be kept afterward. But if you can finish everything on your plate every single day, I don't care what you do with your free time, right? Because you're still on the right path. I think people will use it as an excuse to say, well, if I stop doing this, that'll make me amazing. No, it won't. Doing these things makes you amazing. What you do as a distraction, make time for it every single day. Everyone has their own thing. Some people like video games. Some people like to, be on their phone scrolling. That's not a problem. What matters is, are you doing that instead of your priorities?
Right.
Yeah.
But if you prioritize your day, and that's at the end of your day after you're done, enjoy yourself. There's no difference between doing that and watching Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not getting in the way of what you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. It has to be work before play. But if that's your play, that's your thing. Teach your own in that.
Yeah. So our last, we kind of touched on this. Our last episode was on, intersexual dynamics, really kind of highlighting what we know as sexual dimorphism, which is the fact that pretty much saying men and women are different, And you just mentioned this before, like men and women, something to the effect of like this kind of looks, it's more, something's more, I'm kind of butchering right now, but something is more emphasized for men, like the need for bettering yourself it's somehow a little bit different for men than it is for women. That's why you have this sort of like bigger following for men. I'm not like that is your audience,
right? That's usually There's obviously certain things that I'm saying that's speaking more to men than women, right?
Yeah. So I guess the question is like, so given, like, assuming that everything is like the sexual dimorphism, like let's assuming that is a real thing, and it is a real thing. We are different, How would you approach the? How do you think like a woman would have to approach this versus a man? Like if you had to, unless you couldn't speak to that, but I mean, how would it differ between a man and a woman to reach their potential? Yeah,
I think this is a great question. I think, I think people get too caught up on the idea where if I'm not a woman, I can't speak on women things.
Right.
Yeah, but then that's like saying because a guy doesn't have a vagina, he can't be an OBGYN. But that's not the case.
Right.
We can study things. We're humans. We notice things.
Yeah.
Right. One of the reasons why movies are so amazing and stories are so amazing, right? You do a lot of storytelling, is the fact that we can hear the story from someone all the way across the world that happened 1,000 years ago, and everyone relates to it.
Right.
So it's nonsense to think that we can't understand people just because we're not them. We definitely can because we're human, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to women, and I would say, the difference between the two is I think men and women traditionally have different goals. And I think even in modern society nowadays, men and women are still hardwired to seek different things. And because at the end of the day, the primary function of human beings is reproduction.
Yes.
So for that reason, men and women have different reproductive strategies. Because these reproductive strategies are different, oftentimes they can be contentious, and we're moving in different directions. But that contention also means complementary over the course of time, where we come together, have some sort of pair bonding experience, and we make children, and life goes on, right? But I think my message that I have, because it is much more geared toward men, is geared toward men because a lot of the traits that make men successful don't necessarily make a woman more feminine or make a woman a better at what her goals are going to be. That helps.
Thank you. That's
Yeah. Is that what you're thinking?
We talk about that all the
Yeah.
time.
you put it so eloquently.
Yeah, you
like
did,
that's
yeah.
I was like I'm just like
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. That's really that. Yeah, but it's hard. It's hard not to offend people when you have to these intersexual dynamic questions and topics like that, because people, they want to go off of the blank slate equalism thing. Everyone's all equal, and there's some things about equality. I mean, I'm just gonna say what I believe. If you care,
Yeah.
it's like it's opportunity. I treat everyone equally with an equal opportunity to give them the chance to speak, to try their best at doing something. But when you have to get certain jobs done or certain things require something, just base it on the merit, not necessarily, whether you're male or female. Like you can't enforce equality is what I'm saying. And I think it doesn't mean we're not equal in value as humans. I think it's a complementary thing, as you said, but men and women offer something different, like women can make babies, that's a godly thing, and that's why men have this burden of performance. Like we can't make babies, so we have to make something of value. Otherwise, really, nobody gives a shit about you. Really, a man has to go through these difficult things, like you said, because you hear the whole narrative in a war, millions of people died, including 20 women and children. They're trying to protect the women and children,
right.
And kind of rightfully so. They have intrinsic value. They're the ones that can give birth to the next generation. Men can't. All it takes is 10 men to impregnate 1,000 women.
Yeah,
mathematics. Yeah, exactly.
Much, yeah.
And so that's why men, unless you're creating some other kind of value, you have no intrinsic value. And that's why men are always seen as dispensable. So if you are at the lower end of that spectrum, and you're wondering why you're not getting the results that you want in life, then you do have to go through difficult things. I do agree, and that's why I really like your message, that how you come across. You're really articulate. I'd like to have that message. I just swear too much.
Well, so one thing I'd add to that too is, this probably goes against the grain on most people. I don't think that human beings, men and women, have the same amount of value. I don't. What I think is that men, until they become something, don't have any value.
Yes.
Women already do have value.
Yes.
But then a man has the ability to surpass a woman's value. But that stratification is how nature selects for the best possible seed. You understand, our predisposition as human beings and as just part of nature is nature wants the best to succeed.
Yes.
So for that reason, we can't be equal, but it gives us the opportunity to create our realities in that regard, right? So I would say that when people argue back and forth, a man and woman's value are equal, it's no, if you look in society, there's definitely stratifications. But a man has the ability to go from 0 to infinity. A woman usually has a very preset amount that has a little bit of wiggle room. Right? So it's much like a bell curve, right? There's the most homeless people in the world are all men. The richest people in the world are all men. The ones who are secure in the center, they're women, right? Because we have a funny saying, right? An unemployed man is homeless. Unemployed woman is a housewife, right? That's just how things go. So a man has the ability to be from nothing or to infinity.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, it gives you a visual actually.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
and it's yeah.
It just balances it.
It does, and it makes sense.
Puts all the
It does
harmony
make
back.
sense.
Yeah,
It does make sense.
Oh.
I think it's
Total
always made
sense.
sense
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people are trying to make it not make sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're enforcing that
And they just have
equality.
very
Yeah.
loud megaphones, and that's not how the world works. Just
Yeah.
like away from your own idea of what you think life is, when you just sit back and observe without hearing voices and you see life move, that's when we get data. And that observation, that data, says something completely different.
Wow. Very cool.
That's profound.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said it like I totally get it.
Hey, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
No. Yeah.
It's
We
crazy.
talk about this all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. We talk about it usually off screen, but I always swear, so I can't make it. So it's NSFU. I'm
It
always
can get you
swearing.
riled up because you
Yeah.
teach yourself
Yeah.
that things that we thought are just basic levels of competence in the world have been flipped on their head, right? And a lot of it has to do with the idea. I mean, I look at it in terms of all throughout human history, everyone hasn't been smart. There's always been a few people who are successful who are considered the heroes in society, and people try to emulate those heroes. But by definition, the heroes are a very, very, very small minority.
Right.
I think what happens is in every society, before we used to look to heroes to pass down knowledge. After a while, people started passing down knowledge by people who aren't heroes, writing about heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And then people who were writing about heroes started to realize, hey, look, I can make myself look more like a hero by writing about heroes like they're not really heroes, right? And I'm going to say this. We saw this a lot when it happened in Vietnam. You had a lot of guys who came back in the military, the U.S., who were trying to do what they were doing, whether we should have been there or not. They come back home, and they're being called traitor, all these different types of terms. All they're trying to do is fight for freedoms, and they're just there because that's what their service and duty is to their country.
Mhm.
But the people who stayed behind, who chose not to go to Vietnam, who were able to stay in the college systems, they were writing about those guys like, those are evil killers. Girl, you should be with me instead. I'm the nicer guy. I'm going to fight for your rights as a feminist.
Shit.
You get the whole beta mentality.
Oh man.
And that voice got recorded through time.
Oh wow.
So now the people who aren't heroes were writing about real heroes like they were terrible. And they're trying to flip the script. It's just it's also a mating strategy.
Yeah.
It's like a cuttlefish.
Yeah.
strategy, right?
Oh my
It's a
god.
mating strategy.
White knights.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
So
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
Yeah.
the white knight.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess it's a really general question. Like, what is your take on some of these modern popular diets?
I mean, I've done a lot of research on diets over the years, simply because I've been a trainer for so long. I've had so many conversations. I will literally tell you, and I'm not being evasive, I literally mean it doesn't really matter what the diet is. All that matters is whatever you're going to stick to. Because what happens is people like to yo-yo. They go, oh, I tried this, then I tried this, then I tried this. It's like, okay, then you failed at all of them. Like, why are you hopping off of it? Because it wasn't your natural rhythm. So what I've learned is I have a lot of clients who are like, hey, you know what? The best way for me to go through life and be a little more restrictive with my calories is to do intermittent fasting. And they'll preach that to the high heavens. Great. If it works for you, then do that. Some people are like, hey, you know what? The only way that I can stay on track and not eat these cookies every time they're in front of my face is if I tell myself I'm carnivore only. Then do that. Like, whatever is going to keep you in line, I say do it. Now, what I do think people need to understand is there's always a base level of nutrients that the body needs to operate optimally. But what I've learned with diets is it's extremely rare for any human ever, even the most studied and well-researched of us, to actually always optimize our diet, right?
Right.
Always optimize things. For that reason, there's always a little bit of a trade-off. What matters is what diet's going to have a better net positive trade-off than a negative trade-off.
Gotcha.
And whatever you can stick to, do it. So some people, hey, you know what? I hate keto. It's nonsense, and I like doing this. Great. All that matters is, are your macros correct? Is your timing correct? How do you look? When someone's overweight and something, oh, I do this and it works. I'm like, I don't see it working.
Yeah, how do you? So that's my question. How do you gauge when it's not working? Like, do you take a blood test or like do you check?
I honestly, I mean, for one, yes, blood test is a way to get very granular with people's, particular biomarkers to find out, hey, are you healthy or not? Most of the time we can look at them. We know whether or not your body is operating at an optimal or suboptimal capacity. And I think that when someone says, this diet's so amazing, you should try it. And I'm like, okay, well then show me the results, show me the Carfax.
Yeah.
Like, do you look like what you're preaching? If you're someone's like, no, no, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm on my way. Cool. Let me know when you get there. Until then, I always say you should always be trying to eat better and better and better. And you want to do the best you can to avoid how many other vices you're attached to. Can you eliminate all of them? No, and it's not necessary because the human body has a very good way of compensation. I mean, I lived in San Francisco for a long time. You have guys out there who literally just eat the most nonsensical food, who live on the street, who shoot up heroin every single day, and they're still alive in their 60s.
Right.
The human body can tolerate a lot, right? So you don't have to be perfect. What matters is, are you making steady progress? So I look from year to year. If you're not getting more and more fit or you're not feeling stronger, then you're not eating as well for your body as you should. And I think that's the best way to look at it. Like, I'll talk to people all the time and I'll say, hey, look, I'll have fried chicken because the college is important. They're like, oh, that's nonsense. That's bad food. I said, look, I eat better for my body than you eat for your body.
Yeah.
So how about you talk to me when your thing is working so great?
Right.
And I think people really overstep their boundaries trying to preach to people, you should do this. No. There's a baseline level of nutrients that you need for your body to produce. I want to know, are you getting good sleep? If you're a male, how are your testosterone levels? How is your stress control? Right? What are you going to prices? And if I know that everything's moving smoothly, I don't care what you follow. You're doing the right kind of things. But if those things are all hindered, I'm on the carnival, but I'm not getting any sleep at all. There's probably something wrong, dude. Okay, let's just look at the huge glaring red alarms that are in your life. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Cool. So check out this little Easter egg we got for you, and then we'll come right back. Hiya!
We're back from our Easter eggs. So thank you again. So we were talking a lot about the differences between men and women in our previous conversation with Mana. And so I just wanted to know, women and men, of course, are different biologically, and a number of factors kind of affect their ability to lose weight or become fit. So the internet is full of like the one size fits all type of thing.
Sure.
And so what is, some of them work for others, some don't. So what is like your approach to weight loss, and fitness, how is it different when you're dealing with it?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So obviously, men and women, when it comes to, let's say this, if you're trying to optimize human performance, we know that the best way to get the body stronger, faster, better coordination, faster recovery is always testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I believe men on average have at least 17 times as much testosterone as the average woman, right? So when you're approaching training and stuff, I've found that women take a little bit longer to heal, right? When it comes to actual training practices, women take longer to warm up, but they can actually exercise for longer, right? So when it comes to men, men are very much optimizing short bursts of energy. They can do it right off the bat, but a lot less endurance. Women take a lot longer to warm up, but they can go for a lot longer. So women can do a lot more reps, a lot more sets over the course of time. Oftentimes, even when it comes to maximum output, if a man is going to be doing, like say for example, there's a very famous test, I believe it's how many clean and jerks you can complete within 5 minutes.
How many what? Sorry?
Clean and jerks. So that's going to be where you bring the barbell from the ground to the shoulder and then overhead.
Okay.
How many times can you do 90% of your max within 5 minutes? I believe that top level guys can probably do, somewhere close to maybe 30 or 40 reps. Women can do somewhere around 50 or 60, right? Because women are much better at working at just suboptimal ranges for a very, very long time, right? So when it comes to women and men getting results, when I train women, I say, hey, look, you're not going to be, I don't want to make you as sore because it's more difficult for you to actually recover afterward, but you can do a lot of reps throughout the entire time. For men, I'm more inclined to do short bursts of energy and then more rest periods in between. So when it comes to fitness and changing the bodies, you have to take into account the recovery ability of both men and women and make sure that the timelines line up together. So there's always a lot of factors to explore with that.
Are there other factors, like for women? I heard when I do research about fitness or nutrition, women, they talk a lot about hormones.
Right.
And so how is that, or how does that affect the way women need to work out? Because I hear some, and I don't know if they're good, good credible sources. So
right.
yeah, so I don't want to be like, oh my God, my hormones. But when I'm like, okay,
yeah.
But does that make a difference in like what type of
or like the rhythm even,
what type of,
like they get progesterone, right?
Yeah.
Like progesterone, I don't know what all this stuff
and
does. I know it's pregnancy stuff, right?
Yeah, or like even when.
So you mean like maybe when they're on the cycles?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was
on the cycle, if they're on birth control or something like that, interaction. Yeah. Well, I would argue that regardless of a woman's like hormonal profile, even throughout the month, most women are very, very good at still kind of gritting through that time of the month to still do the workouts.
Yeah.
Now, naturally, I'm going to pull back on some things, right? So if a woman experiences heavier times of month, right? So the periods or the cramps are just really substantial, or potentially there's a lot of bleeding, or there's a lot of fatigue attached to it, then I have to adjust the workout for that, right? What I'll end up doing is very, very low intensity, more skills and drills, something that allows the body to move, that kind of gets the oxygen and the nutrients circulating through the body to get them to feel better. But we're not necessarily trying to go for any sort of net positive development. That's not the time to do it.
Right.
But then there's just about a little less than 3 other weeks throughout the month where they can, right? For guys are much more steady. So obviously they can make progress all the way through. So, I would say when it comes to hormones for training women, it's just, hey, is it that time of month or not? Right. And for the most part, women are very, very open about what they're experiencing. They might say, hey, look, I've had a long day, or I'm doing this or that. I'm going to be a lot more understanding of that because a woman's mood and her energy level have a lot more undulation throughout the month than men do. Men, for the most part, even if he's like, oh, man, I'm dog tired, I'm like, I know. 50 burpees anyway. Let's go. We're still getting after it, right? Yeah. There's a part about men, too, to where and this is where mentality comes in.
Yeah.
For men, too, there has to be a level of grit to where men know how to work those tough scenarios because women do it all the time, right? It'll be that time of the month. A woman will still go to work, still do her workouts, still put on a smile, still take care of kids. So at some point, we all have to grit through. I'm a little bit less nice to men when it comes to that because I think men define themselves by doing difficult tasks.
Right.
So if you come in to do your session and you're tired and difficult, good.
Yeah.
It'll be a learning experience. You're still going to do your workout and you're going to show yourself that even when I'm tired, I can still do my best. So it still stays consistent, right? So I'll do more the mentality for men that way, but for women, I'm a little more relaxed because you can easily turn off a woman by not understanding what she's trying to tell you.
Right.
If you ask her, hey, look, we're going to do this workout that has 50 burpees and a mile run. Most likely she's going to say, okay, if that's what you want to do, then I'll definitely do it. Now, if a guy told me that, he's going to do it. If a girl says that, that's her way of saying, I don't want to do this. So then you make some tweaks. And a lot of times I'll write substitute things that they can do, that they can go toward, to where they feel comfortable with the workout. Because I want a woman to enjoy her workout. If she enjoys it, she's more likely to associate it with a positive experience. For men, they need to have the enjoy and unenjoy, or the enjoy and this is miserable.
Yeah.
That helps them to stay steady. So it's a little
right.
different.
It's like when the guy doesn't enjoy it afterwards. I like that feeling after the workout, guys. You know.
There you go.
Like, but I think guys tend to like that more readily. You know, and there's a I get what you mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean, because I think I had a bad experience with a trainer where, like, there were times when I was like this, and it was like, just keep going, and it was like I felt embarrassed, and I stopped going to that trainer because I was like, So I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, you know, so one unique thing too about women, what I've learned in the gym is a lot of women that I would train for the first time, a lot of them just never did fitness, not so much because they weren't interested in it, but women will tie embarrassment and negative experiences and just write things off. So say, for example, if a woman could be back when she was a girl in high school or junior high school, and the one time she's supposed to climb the rope, right? The one time she gets stuck on the rope, she'll just associate that, not necessarily to where it's like, oh, I had a bad day. She'll just say, fitness is not for me. This is embarrassing. I don't want to do it. So what you do is you'll have a first time session with a girl or a woman, and she comes in and she'll say things like, can we just work out in the corner of the gym? Can we just away from people? That just shows you that she had a negative experience, and she associates the gym with embarrassment.
Right.
So then she says, hey, when you train me, don't make me look embarrassed. Now that's natural for women to feel that way. So you have to understand that. You don't want a woman to feel embarrassed. You want to rack up as many positive experiences as possible so that she looks forward to the gym.
Yeah.
She's much more malleable in that respect. For men, I don't care if you enjoy the gym.
Yeah.
Because what matters is the grit and hard work.
Right.
When you see the results in the mirror, that'll make you enjoy
the model. The model is different. Yes.
Yes.
The model. The mindset's different.
Yes.
That's very that.
Because guys tend to be proud of when they go through that part that sucks really bad. They feel proud of it. I remember the first time I wrestled. After that, I got my ass kicked. But then after that, I'm like, you know what? Everything got the volume turned down a little bit, you know?
Yes.
Like in the Fight Club movie, you know?
Like men and women, they operate off of different words.
Yeah.
So say, for example, for guys, we like to try something first, and then after we mess up, then we learn the lesson. That's how guys are made. Women, they want to know everything beforehand so that they don't mess up because they want to get embarrassed. So say, for example, if you see a barbell, even if it's too heavy for him to lift up, guess what? He's going to try it. Yeah. Now, what you do with guys is if he fails, all you gotta do is say one word to guys. Do you like this? Almost, bro. Dude, you almost had it to go. Oh, I know. And they'll be inspired. They'll say, great. You tell that to a woman, you almost had it. She's like, I just want to get the heck out of here. I look like an idiot. Completely different. So for a woman, you're going to over-explain and then make sure she doesn't feel embarrassed. Yeah. For men, let him feel embarrassed, let him fail, because that's the fastest way for him to learn. So there's always dynamics. There's always like a little bit of a change there between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. Yeah. I'll admit, like I said, that one time, like I almost swore off going to the gym. Like I would go and not want to work out at a gym. Yeah. And it took me a while to actually get back. And then I had to find the right place and the right trainer. And so I finally did, because it was like I had to first go by myself, work out, just do one-on-one, and then I was like, okay, let me try a class. And so
exactly, yeah. So
and then
anything that's just a little bit more quiet, away. I don't want eyes on me. Yeah, it's understandable.
In the class, before I was like, okay, I'll go in the corner over there where I'm not like visible. Yes. And then after I got it, then I was comfortable, and I could take 2 classes in a day. Like so, it was I mean. That dynamic, true story, man.
No, that's true. That's probably making me think of how to run the class dynamics. When I'm teaching jiu-jitsu, you know, it is a mixed group.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, so how, you know, that has to be run a little. I have to be a little bit more sensitive. I do tend to teach more towards guys a little bit more. It's like kind of like that tough love stuff. Yeah. But even then, they know that I'm directing that tough love more towards the guys more, so the girls do get a little bit more. I mean, it is different, you know, like I kind of make it a little bit more light for everybody. It's just like I guess elective if you want to take my tough love seriously or not.
Yeah.
You know, like, but it's your time. Do take it serious. Don't stop others from working out.
Yeah.
You know, but that yeah, I have to take that into
Well, I
consideration.
would say in martial arts, you probably have some more leeway because in fitness, women aren't competing against the men. They're just trying to get fit themselves, right?
Right.
So it's better to adjust it. But if I were teaching a martial arts class,
Yeah.
the reason I'm learning martial arts is to understand how to fight
Yes.
and to deal with those things. So for that reason, I actually wouldn't cater to women. I would say, look, you're entering a male hierarchy.
Yeah.
And if you want to compete in the male space,
Right.
I need you to think like a man in this space.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm not going to cater to you as a woman.
We,
That's
we,
because
we
you're
still
good
end
at
up
this
doing
space.
that. We still end up doing that. Like a lot of the guys. So sometimes what happens in the jiu-jitsu class is that a lot of the other males, even not slightly advanced or not advanced, when they spar with the girls, I don't want them teaching the girls because the whole point of fighting it's a problem solving
Yes,
thing.
it is.
The whole thing is problem solving. When the guys are trying to teach them while they're sparring, I get it when we're doing technique, we teach the technique. But when it comes time to spar, that's the time. It's not to be like a tough guy. Like I'm not trying to be like that, but it is a time for problem solving.
Right.
You're in a high pressure situation, and you have to act as if you don't have any the answer sheet there. You have to do the problem under that pressure. So to have them in that situation, that's what I want to simulate. And some of the guys, they just stop and kind of like say, put your hand over here, nah, 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 nah. And I just say,
So what do you thought? Why do you think that is? Why do you think guys do that?
because well, there's many reasons. Sometimes the guys are trying to hit on them, or there's that, or there could be many reasons. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what I think the reason is. I know what the effect will be is that they will end up trying to look for answers after.
Yeah.
You know, because there's one. Yeah, some of the girls that I train with, when I roll with them, I see they ask me questions while I'm sparring. I'm like, that's what I tell them. I'm gonna kill you. What are you gonna do about that?
Yeah.
You know, like think of it like I'm not gonna like, but if I am, which I'm gonna pretend I am, like you know, and I make that face like and then she acts like that. I'm like yeah. You gotta figure it out.
Right.
Figure it out, and know that I won't, but figure it out. That's your time.
Well, I think that's really good. Is
Yeah.
you are a sensei and you are a coach, right? So because of it, you're the teacher. You're gonna come with a teaching mindset. Most guys aren't teachers. So what happens is when most guys spar with women, they know they can't go all out because they would demolish her. So what guys end up doing is because they're kind of going half-assed with it,
Yeah.
they'll realize because they have that, they have time to think and talk to her. It's almost like, I mean, not to be condescending, but it's like playing basketball against a child.
Yeah.
While they're going, because you can't use full force and full energy, you're just like, no, don't dribble that way. It just becomes that way because you know you have to be soft.
Right.
And for you, you're seasoned, you're a teacher, so you know, hey, that's not what you should be doing. You should just, when the kid shoots a basketball, you should just swat that into oblivion.
No.
But what happens is guys often who aren't teachers, they just think the best thing I should do is start teaching, and guys have to try to resist against it. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but I also I meet somewhere in the middle. I don't really try to, like to destroy them, but not to give them the answer. At least to go through the process of it. I'll go light still, but not to the point where I'm telling them what to do. I will go and then I'll go light, and I won't destroy them or steamroll them. I will just like kind of go and then let them to see them grow and figure it out themselves rather than giving them the answer sheet.
Right.
Yeah. So even with the kids, I wouldn't, bam, like just,
Nobody would.
yeah. No. Yeah. But I mean, there's less consequences with the basketball. With when you're like beating, like when you're fighting. Yeah. There's a certain level of the risk of bodily injury. Like you said, yeah. But like obviously basketball's so fucking, just yeah. But I get it. No, that's interesting. But something that you did say there, like I probably would, reconsider, how at least to understand how the women's mind works.
We were just talking too when it comes to fitness. Women are going to ask questions because they want to know what to do before they're supposed to.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot.
Jiu-jitsu is such a martial arts is such a feeling process.
Yeah, but they still do the same thing though. The way you say they still kind of operate the same way. We're good 15. Yeah. Cool, man.
They still want to ask beforehand, so it is reflexive for women to want to talk about it. And so to try to say, hey, look, this entire time this is going on, no one's talking. During this 1 minute, let's roll, or whatever it's going, or 3 minutes, whatever this round is going to be. No talking during the actual thing. That also helps people to just stay inside their heads. Yeah.
Very cool. I like that. Very interesting.
Okay, and then so when it comes to like, trying to be the best person you can be, how important is it to find your tribe? Like, find people who are like-minded, who will support you rather than make you practice bad habits. Like, how important is finding your tribe?
Well, I think human beings have always gotten along in tribes, right? Just as much as we know that when you're around people who have the same like mindset, that's when you're going to be the strongest. And we see that through everything in society, right? If you see a basketball game, think of like synergy, right? There's always a home court advantage. Why? Because people who share your mindset, who want you to win, there's something that's very motivating and that's extremely inspiring and somehow gives you an extra level of energy and focus and coordination and camaraderie to want to do even better. So human beings are always better together, which is my argument for why men and women should be married and stuff like that, because we're all better together. When people say, oh, I can do it by myself, that's a lie. Maybe you can, but it's always going to be suboptimal, right? Now, when it comes to finding your tribe, whether it be men or women, it's like anything else. If you're someone who hangs around 5 losers, then you'll be the 6th, right? You hang around 5 guys who are financially literate, then you'll be the 6th. Like, no matter what it's going to be, you want to make sure you put yourself into the right environment to succeed. Because I heard this a long time ago that 80% of all human behavior is dictated by their environment. The 20% that you actually have in your mind that you can make a decision with, that 20% should be used to find the right environment, right? That's how you do it, right? So if you're someone who struggles with alcoholism, if all your friends are alcoholics, what do you think is going to happen, right? There is no like, oh, I'm the unique snowflake, I can just resist everything. That's a lie. Same thing with girls too. If girls are like, oh, you know what? All my friends are promiscuous and sluts, but I'm the one good girl. That's a lie. That's not a thing, right? Or guys like, oh, all my friends, all they do is play video games a day, but not me. It's probably a lie. So the idea that the people who you hang around the most not only influence your mind, but they also are your presentation to the world, right? So when you hang out with these people, you're telling the world, I'm one of them. Birds of a feather, right? I think that's something that's always tried and true. And I think that finding the right people to be around, people who are successful, I think is absolutely important, because your environment, for one, will dictate far more your behavior than just what you think about yourself. It's your actions, right? And so when you're around the right kinds of people, that's the fastest way to improve.
Yep, well said.
Yep.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. Because even with doing this podcast, like, he's working on habits and stuff. It makes me want to work on things that I need to work on, or and like hanging out with him more. It's like now I want to, like really work hard in the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a smart thing though, because you want to align yourself with people who have the qualities of things that you want.
Yeah.
Right, and that's
or at least the mindset, because they might not have the results yet, but as long as usually the results will be like a byproduct of that mindset, like. But sometimes people, when they're changing their mindset, you got to give them, if you're seeing that they're about growth, then that's usually what I want to surround myself with. Like, you could be beginners at jiu-jitsu. I hang out with a lot of my friends aren't good at jiu-jitsu, but they're trying to change their life, and they're in that mentality of like seeking knowledge and everything. So like, that's you embrace the growth rather than like the results that they have. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
but the results do speak. The results have a lot to do with that growth too.
Yeah.
But I think about mentality when it comes to someone who's new to jiu-jitsu, going around guys. What they're learning is, if they're around guys who are also beginners, who are inspired to want to continue learning, that's the right mindset.
Yeah.
Right. What you don't want to have is a bunch of beginner jiu-jitsu friends who are like, this is nonsense, why are we doing it? That'd be bad. But if everyone's trying to improve, it's the mindset of like, where is the herd going?
Yeah.
Where are their eyesight? Is their eyesight on improvement, or is their eyesight on staying the same, or going out and partying, or being lazy? Where are they looking?
Yeah.
Find a tribe that is looking in the direction that you want to go.
Yeah, it's true. It is important. Yeah. And then, I don't know if you heard of this guy named Chris Williamson. He said it really, like, when you're in that mindset where you're in that cusp where you're changing yourself, you will find a time where you are lonely, profoundly lonely, because because you're pretty much having to shed like the old people that don't have that mindset. Like you're trying to change. You don't be surprised that you do get lonely sometimes, because you have to walk a certain path that the old friends that you're hanging out with, they don't want to walk that path. And the people along the way, they haven't really accepted them in their path yet, So you're kind of like in this limbo between, you know, maybe you are finding your tribe, but really just trying to find your, I guess, your,
That's a good way to put it, because I think that anytime someone does make a change for something better in their life, it is a lonely journey you have to do initially to find your new tribe. Because what you're doing is just saying, hey, look, the tribe I'm in right now, either I've outgrown them or they want something different, or you got to walk from that tribe to the next one. That walking period is lonely. It's just you by yourself. It's not like the tribe's moving with you, right? Maybe you're lucky to have one person go with you, but oftentimes it is very lonely. You know, I've talked, I've spoken to guys about that too, and you know, guys will ask me, hey, I'm 18, what do I do? Or I'm 20 years old, what are some attributes I need? And what I'll tell them, I'll say, you know, when you're 20, that's usually around the loneliest time for men, because what it is you're already aged out really of college and high school to where you're not young enough to relate to them, but you also have zero experience in the world, and you're not old enough to relate to anyone who's doing better than you.
Right.
You're in this weird limbo to where you're too old to be young, but you're too young for anyone to take you seriously.
Right.
It's very weird and very awkward. Women have the exact opposite effect. At that age, they're going into their beauty, right? They're getting a lot more attraction from the opposite sex and attention, right? So they're starting to enjoy their roaring 20s, right?
Yeah.
Men don't have a roaring 20s.
Right, they have a lonely 20s.
You know, very lonely 20s, right? So at that point, but men can potentially have a roaring 30s.
40s, 50s.
Or 40s or 50s, yeah. But in the meantime, we're in the thick of it. We're like, cool, we don't really know what we should be. Because for a woman, let's just be honest, a woman can say, if I focus on being attractive, I have potential to mate. A man can't just say that. A man has to say, okay, I have to focus on being successful.
And
where do I go?
And, you know, it's funny. Yeah.
But where do I go first? Do I do this job? This job? Hey, my uncle told me about this opportunity. Should I join the military? There's so many options. It's not like school. Because in school, and this is one of the problems with I think people have coming out of college, is when you go through the college system, school does not deal with complex problems. What it is it's always an A or a B. There is no ambiguity about what the right solution is, right? So you always know there's a definite answer if you look it up in a book. When you get out into real life, which path should I take? Well, all of them can be possible. A through Z can all work, and A through Z can all fail. Good luck. And that's what makes it tough, right? People have to figure it out. So guys have more of a battle with that because they're looking at A through Z. Women can look at, hey, A, I stay attractive and, you know, marry somebody and get my resources taken care of. Or B, maybe I can do work if I want to do that, right? But they have a lot more of a small selection, so it's easier for them to make a decision. Men, it's like, where do you want to go? You want to move from a different city? You want to do this? You want to follow your father's business? There's all kinds of things. So for that reason, men having to join a tribe is so important, I think, in their 20s. But once again, it's hard because whatever tribe you join, you're probably the youngest and the least off of the tribe. So there is that weird segment.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
No.
Cool. Well, come back. We did we just went to a restaurant we did a food review of one of our friends' restaurants, so check it out. We'll come back with a little
Banyans Island Grill, Kapiolani Boulevard, right? Just so you know, a little fun fact, that is the most dangerous intersection in the United States of America.
Is it?
Yes, it has been reported because it's one of those Y intersections. So be careful when you go here. Yes, do your due diligence. Don't cross just because it says you can cross, okay? You can also get hit by a car that doesn't want to look.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely look before you cross.
Yes, I mean, it goes without saying, but some people just think they get, you know, protected by the law. But you're not car-proof. In any case, this is where it's located. Be careful at that intersection if you want to go to the female or male entertainment. You got that Club Fam right there. And we got the islands, Banyans Island Grill. I'm not sure how long their lease. The lease is, you know, I think they get a lease to just park the truck here. Is that it?
The what?
They have it. I think that's how it works, right? They get a lease to just park the truck somewhere.
I think so. They have to get something. They can't just park.
Yeah. So we're gonna zoom into this menu here. Boom. Boom. Look at that. You can take a snapshot of that. I'm gonna take a snap of that. Boom. Oh yeah. I'm gonna get the boar's nest. You're gonna do the.
I was going to do the Arakawa.
Are we getting fries or?
Yes.
That's good. The boar's nest burger one Arakawa, the fish sandwich, and fresh cut fries.
What size?
Just a small. And 2 bottles of water, please. Where are we? Thank you, water. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then we got
Burger and a fish sandwich.
thank you so much. Hey, you want to grab that?
Yeah.
And then we get the fries.
Fries.
Check this out. Look at that. That's the burger. See the taro bun? Yeah, we got the sauce, special sauce here. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And then I showed them the fish
Yeah.
burger.
This is the
That's
fish
the Arakawa.
burger, the Arakawa.
Yeah. La la la.
And then
Ta-da! You got a
the
taro
sauce.
bun.
I appreciate that they put the sauce on the side because
Yeah, sometimes you want it or
you want it
not.
on the side.
That's hopefully your hair.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
is.
sure it is.
Yeah. Fries, hand cut fries. Okay, and we'll
Good.
dig in.
Bottled waters.
Bottled waters.
All right.
Taro bun. This is Hawaiian. This is made of taro leaf. They call it kalo. In is it Hawaiian? Is it kalo?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That looks like more than a third pounder, I think.
I think it's half pound.
Even, yeah.
Oh.
Grass fed, local.
This is good.
That's good, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'll try that next time.
Yeah.
I got a bit of a cough. I don't want to share my more than needed today. This will do me some good.
The sauce is good.
So, this does have a lot of good reviews on Yelp. I think I'm going to make a review on Yelp as well. Probably give the good review. We're only going to check out good ones, Really. So, if you're here visiting Kapiolani and Atkinson, the most dangerous intersection in the world, make sure
Yeah.
you don't cross that street. Okay?
A lot of parking if you're not here on a crowded day,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of seats.
Yeah, a lot
Shaded.
of seats. Yes. And keep in mind, this might be bad timing, but depending on when you're watching this video, these trucks move around. So I guess when their lease is up, they'll probably find another lot. So this one's called Banyans Island Grill. It was on the North Shore, now it's here. It might be somewhere else whenever this message reaches you. Okay, hopefully that's useful for you.
They have an Instagram, right?
They do have an Instagram.
So follow their Instagram. So yeah.
We'll post it right here.
in our description.
No, I'm gonna make it a graphic. Right here. I'm gonna try to aim it. Yeah. Cool. So, till next time, have some eats with us. It's so much podcast. See you in the studio.
See you in the studio.
We are back. That was a good restaurant. We went to Banyans Island Grill. That was great. That was today, actually. Sometimes we film on other days, but it just so happens to be the same day. Check it out. It's on Kapiolani Boulevard, Banyans Island Grill. It might be a different address. That's a food truck. So food trucks will get a lot. Might be a different lot. You might watch this 2 years after. I don't know when you guys are watching this. Okay, it might not exist then. But support the local food trucks. That one has a lot of local fish, local beef. The burger is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds bomb.
Yeah, there's a lady who was ordering her food in front of us, and she was so excited to try the poke.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
And there was only one guy working, but normally people are like, "Oh my God, where's my food?" But everyone
that was a
was.
great thing to say, Tom.
Yeah.
They're so
That's it.
appreciative. They're like, I appreciate you.
Yes.
Yeah, he was working really hard because he was the only person. Yeah.
Yep. And we live in a great place here.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to live here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a great episode. Thanks so much for coming.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
We had a lot of valuable things to say. A lot of conversation with our last or previous episodes. I hope this progression goes that way. Where every episode will build on the next.
Yeah.
Where it's not like in the ether of space and then we all of a sudden talk something different.
Right.
It'll build on the next. It'll add to our own knowledge. and our own perspectives, and then we bring it to the next one, to infinity and beyond.
I like that. Here you go.
Right.
I'm so fucking ripped. Yeah. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, we really hope you enjoyed this episode. We really try to honestly find topics and guests that will, inspire and also bring their perspective in, because it's always good to see different perspectives as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it really does continue our conversation that we always have from episode 1.
Yeah. So, is there anything you want to plug, before we go? Like, follow him on Instagram. I'm gonna put his link right here. I'm probably make a graphic, so hopefully I'm watching my own video so I can see where I'm pointing. Hopefully it's right there.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you guys can follow me on IG. Instagram account is going to be at I am Ravnfit. That's RAVNFIT. Follow me there. I have a YouTube channel, but it's still up and coming. So do the IG for now. I think that'll be plenty.
Yeah, and then you'll have, we'll update the metadata down there. So if it's not in the graphic where my finger is, at least look further down. Go down there and then just scroll. Press the more button and it goes, you hear all the information. We keep adding stuff on it. Time marks, everything. Check my music. I have a music channel as well. DJ Mana at DJ, I don't even know, Skratch Master Mana, I forget. I'll put the link in there too. Okay?
Skratch Master sounds dope.
Yeah, I think it is Skratch Master now. I have reached that. I've been doing it for 30 years ish.
Hey.
My senpai Anam, I teach jiu-jitsu at UFC gym. I'm an associate instructor, but that's just a channel for my lifelong learning in the art of jiu-jitsu, just to archive all my techniques in one comprehensive repertoire, so you can have some, utility for it. It's all broken down to short videos of techniques. Anything else you got?
I got my creative page on Instagram. I'm dabbling in photography, especially fight photography.
Nice.
I like to take action photos, so
Cool.
I recently did a Muay Thai event, the MDL, and that was fun. So you'll see more of that. I'll put my Instagram in the metadata. It's EA_creative_808.
Nice.
I'll put it right here if I remember to. Okay? And so from us to you, to the world, aloha. We'll leave you with some shots from Waikiki and some of me playing some music.
Yeah.
And then you'll have a good time next time. We'll be here at Soul Mech Podcast. Peace.
Peace, y'all.